Lady Colin Campbell, this is very exciting because you know it's usually me who's asking you the questions, but we have the smartest audience here on Outspoken, and I know you do on your channel too, and I love it when you answer questions of your audience. So today,
Something wasn't right. The bump folded. It swung. It vanished. Thousands noticed it, but only one dared to say it out loud. Today, Lady Colin Campbell breaks her silence on Meghan Markle's mysterious baby bump.
we've given the Outspoken family the opportunity to ask questions of you. Honestly, I was overwhelmed. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions. So we will do this in a few parts. But let's get straight to them, Lady C, because this AMA is brilliant. You know, AMA stands for Ask Me Anything, by the way. I'm quite new at this world, but it's very, very exciting. So the first question comes from Blue Rose 11, who asked, Dear Lady C, were you ever told by the powers that be to not speak of surrogacy or adoption rumours concerning Meghan's pregnancy? Thank you, Dan and Lady C, for this forum.
No, I was never told any such thing. But in fact, I happened upon the whole question of the extraordinary performance that Meghan treated the world to as a result of, first of all, a friend of mine who was a journalist at Birkenhead, who saw what was going on, and I discounted it. I thought, oh. And even when I wrote my first Meghan and Harry book, although I addressed it, I slightly discounted the whole thing as you know, crazy internet and journalist rubbish, and just left it at that. And then it was when I started my YouTube channel and that took off in the way it did, that I began to receive information from the public. And they're the ones who focused my attention on what up to then I had discounted. Yeah, look at it. You know, whoever heard of a baby bump being so variable, and not to mention swinging from side to side. Oh, let's do the cha-cha, or shall we do chubby checker? Let's twist again like we never twisted before, sort of thing. And when I realized, I think I must have got tens of thousands of comments, maybe even more, I thought, oh, this, and people started to say to me, you've got to get onto the palace about this. And at that point, I did. I thought actually the palace needs to be alerted to the fact that this is going on. And I don't know who else is being involved with this and who else is you know, being approached about this. So I won't go into any detail, Dan, because you know how these things work.
Yes.
But I did get in touch at the absolutely most senior level.
And the explosive surrogacy rumors surrounding the royal family. Is this the biggest royal cover-up of our time? Let's find out. It all began with a video, or rather many videos, Meghan Markle's baby bump appearing to collapse during a live TV appearance.
And that's where I went, and then the ball got bounced back and forth, and I conveyed people's concerns. But at no time have I ever been told I should leave the subject alone.
Fascinating.
But so, and as you pointed out some months ago, that people at Radar online were saying that they were in touch with people at the palace who were basically using my name and saying So because, of course, it's convenient for them to hide behind my name, because then they can say, oh, ask Lady Colin. And if, which is, that way they get the information across. But if anything goes wrong, their head is not on the chopping block, mine is. But it's, message just flashed up.
Oh,
So,
anything juicy? Anything you want to share with us?
well, yes, it's from the king saying, shut up.
Well, look, on that note, Lady C, this is of a similar theme. So let me get onto this. This is from Linda GZ9ES. These are people's YouTube usernames, right? So I'm just going to give them in full. And Linda says, surely the king or the government can remove these children from the line of succession. The UK deserves to know the truth, surely.
I agree the UK deserves to know the truth. And I think it's really all very simple. If there is no question of the children's entitlement, all the palace needs to do is provide, which they have done with every single other royal birth from 1689 to the present, verifiable proof by the competent authorities that those births were lawfully witnessed and that the children are entitled to the line of succession. All it would take is a simple announcement. This has not been forthcoming. Until it is forthcoming, questions are validly asked and concerns validly exist. Why are those two children in the line of succession when their mother's pregnancy was so bizarre and so unusual, and so the presentation that she afforded the public was so questionable that questions were asked? But the king cannot the king cannot give an order in council or issue letters patent decreeing the children out of the line of succession. Once they were lawfully put into the line of succession, when Harry is the one, it's right there on Archie's birth certificate. And I have spoken to a registrar about this. Harry is the one who registered Archie's birth. Harry is the one who gave the details of Archie's birth. Harry's signature was not required because he was the person who gave the information about the birth of Archie. That information was then corrected because Harry made two mistakes on it. The first mistake was to omit his title of prince. So 3 weeks after Archie's birth, his birth certificate was amended. Under British law, you can only amend a birth certificate. You cannot rescind it or revoke it or change it. You can only amend it. And it can only be amended if there was a genuine error made.
Then came more footage, with the bump shifting, bouncing, even disappearing. At first, Lady C dismissed the rumours, but the flood of messages, videos and concerned viewers couldn't be ignored. Then she saw the footage herself.
And the first error was an omission, which was that he was His Royal Highness Henry blah blah blah, Duke of Sussex, and they had to insert the prince. He'd neglected to say that he was His Royal Highness Prince Henry blah blah blah, Duke of Sussex. The second amendment was the removal of information that he had given to the registrar, which was that a woman who, according to his information, went into the hospital as the Duchess of Sussex gave birth to Archie on the 6th of May. And he put his information was that that woman named, who was Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, her forenames were Rachel Meghan. And those forenames were removed. Now, the only reason why those forenames would have been removed is if he had given erroneous information to the effect that the woman who was identified as Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, which presumably whoever gave birth to that child went into the hospital as under the name Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. So leaving that was going to be perfectly correct. But they removed Rachel Meghan, implying that Meghan had not given birth to those children. Now, it is not possible to remove that child from the line of succession once he has a valid birth certificate issued by the registrar in England confirming that he was the product of the union of Meghan and Harry, which is what was issued originally. That needs an act of parliament to have it removed. You can't remove a child from the line of succession just willy-nilly. It would need, more than likely would need, an act of parliament. So you would need the politicians, the government of the day, to get involved. How likely is it that you're going to have an this government is sufficiently anti-monarchist that it might well leap at the opportunity to put a bill through Parliament removing that child from the line of succession and Lily from the line of succession. But the royal family and any monarchist would be quite rightly concerned that if you give a thief the key to your jewel case, don't be surprised when he makes off with your jewels. So it would be the height of irresponsibility for the monarchy to try to get those children removed from the line of succession the way the law stands at the moment. A simple way around all of this would be to have an amendment to the Act of Settlement and various other acts which have followed, including the Statute of Westminster of 1931, which refers to the royal families and the dominions rights, those countries that have the monarch as the head of state. So that could be done by, in England, an act of Parliament, an amendment to the acts, and then it would require that all the other dominions that signed up to the 1931 Statute of Westminster would also need to come on board. So it's not as simple and straightforward as people seem to think it is.
And her reaction? I was flabbergasted. According to royal tradition, dating back to 1689, every royal birth must be witnessed and legally documented. But for Archie and Lilibet?
Lady C, I love this question. And you're probably going to kill me because there's no warning for these. You've got no idea what I'm going to ask, so there's no time for you to think. But Nancy J55 asked, if Lady C could have a fabulous dinner party with 8 royals, past or present, who would it be? So you've got 8 royals, Lady C, at your dinner table at Castle Goring. Who are you choosing?
Oh dear. Okay. Well, I'd have to choose an ancestor of mine, the Emperor Charlemagne. I'd have to choose him. If only because I'm descended from him. And he really had the original great empire European. So that's one. I think I would have to have Anne Boleyn. Am I allowed the wives or just the husband?
Absolutely, you are, yeah.
I'd have to have Anne Boleyn because she was such a mischief maker, and she'd certainly have the pot stirred. Oh, let me think who else. I think I would ask George III. He was a very fine monarch, and very intelligent man when he wasn't mad, and he was only mad intermittently. I think I'd have to ask Elizabeth I as well. I suppose maybe we could do with a little bit of scandal. So let's ask the bisexual James I as well. Let me see who else. I wouldn't ask Queen Victoria because she really was a bit of a nightmare. I think I'd ask the Empress Frederick, her sister, who was very bright and intelligent. Let me see who else. Catherine the Great. And, well, we've already asked one homosexual, but we may as well ask another. Frederick the Great. So that's 8. I'd ask them because I'd like to pick their brains and each of them was in, that's the Empress Frederick, yeah. Crown Princess of Prussia, who was the Princess Royal of England, actually, and Queen Victoria's eldest child.
Love.
So anyway, those are my 8.
Love it. We've got to press on. Lee Don 76 asks, Harry's visa application had a page redacted. That page was for adoption, trafficking, tax, and security only. Each was totally redacted. What do you make of that?
No official records have been made public. No midwife or physician has come forward. No photographic evidence from the hospital. Even stranger, Meghan's full name was removed from Archie's birth certificate after it was filed. Why the change? Why the silence?
When you have something to hide, maybe you should consider hiding it. If there's nothing to hide, why hasn't it been revealed? But I do not believe the way things have been handled, that, because remember, Lily had not been born when Harry's visa application took place. And there is no way that Archie could have been included in the line of succession if he had been knowingly the product of a surrogacy that Harry and Meghan needed to adopt, because the law is very clear on the subject that your entitlement to a peerage, as opposed to a courtesy title, takes place at the moment of your birth. So if, for instance, Dan, I gave birth to you, and I was, say, a duchess in my own right, and you were the Marquis of New Zealand,
yes,
at birth, and then you're adopted by the Wooten family, you would still be entitled to be the Duke upon my death, even though you were now Dan Wooten.
Got it.
So I do not believe that Archie, that there can be any reason for hiding any adoption process from the American state, or from the people, as a result of any admission that would have been made on the American papers, because it would also be an act of total folly for Archie to be adopted and the British authorities are not made aware of that fact and have him in the line of succession, while the American authorities are made aware of that fact. It would be, to me, it would be such an inconsistent thing that I don't think it's viable.
Lady C, do you fancy a controversial one from Nicola Carr 8429? Do you think, Lady C, that Elizabeth II had a marriage in name only? Allegedly, when Elizabeth and Philip were in Malta, he was a womanizer. My aunt and uncle were stationed with them, and another one of our naval friends used to drive Philip around in his red sports car. He was visiting his female friends.
And where are the witnesses? Lady Colin Campbell may not have given us every answer, but she's asking the questions that no one else dares to. Meghan's bump, the altered records, the lack of transparency. What do you think? Was it a natural pregnancy or something else entirely? Comment below and don't forget to hit that like button if you found this eye-opening. Subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.